Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. Good evening. Hola everyone. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Teknologis Dr. Mohammad Haji Toriman, Vice Chancellor Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Dr. Narimah Samad, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and International University Science Malaysia. Professor Caroline Benton, Vice President and Executive Director, Global Affairs, University of Tsukuba, Japan. Professor Yasuyuki Kono, Vice President for International Strategy, Kyoto University, Japan. Yang berbahagia, Professor Dr. Mohammad Qasim, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic and International Affairs, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Associate Professor Dr. Abdul Latif Ahmad, Director for International Relations Center, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Selamat datang and welcome to the first UKM Global Webinar Series, supported by TOSHIBA International Foundation with the theme, The Internationalization Experience of Higher Education Institutions in Japan and Malaysia. I'm Hafiz Rasul Mohammad from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia Internationalization Center, and I'm your MC for today's webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the focus of today's discussion will be on the sharing of collaborations and partnerships, the strategies of being a global university and dealing with challenges of the new norm and moving forward with new initiatives and empowering universities of the future. Both countries have had long-standing relationships and ventured into many collaborations such as student and staff mobility, dual degree programs, international students recruitment, joint research, and publication, etc. To begin today's webinar, please welcome the UKM's Vice Chancellor, yang berbahagia Professor Datuk Teknologis Dr. Mohammad Haji Toriman for his welcoming remarks, and to officially launch the webinar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, afternoon and evening. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Narimah Samad, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and International University Science Malaysia, Professor Caroline F Benton, Vice President and Executive Director Global Affairs, University of Tsukuba, Japan, Professor Yasuyuki Kono, Vice President for International Strategy, Kyoto University, Japan. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Mohammad Qasim, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and International Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Universities representatives from Malaysia and across the world, distinguished guests, invited speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to extend a very warm welcome to the first UKM Global Webinar Series, which is supported by TOSHIBA International Foundations. The program brings together representatives of higher education institutions from Malaysia and Japan to share their insight and ideas on issues surrounding the international higher education. We are extremely honored that our academics and management teams are named as recipients of the TOSHIBA International Foundation grants for a research project titled The Internationalization's Experience and Strategies of Higher Education Institutions in Japan and Malaysia. This is the first in a planned series of 6 webinars that will be conducted to discuss internationalization issues between both countries. I would like to express my gratitude to the TOSHIBA International Foundation for your trust in our experts and supporting these research and events. The relationship between Malaysia and Japan has always been special. When the Look East policy was introduced in 1981, education has been a strong beneficiary and key focus on the policy. To date, UKM has a total of 59 strong collaborations with the various institutions in Japan, and we look forward to fostering new partnerships and strengthening the existing ones. This webinar will focus on the strategic imperatives that must be addressed in order to move forward in an era where internationalization is confronted with limitations and challenges. After almost 2 years of battling with the global pandemics, most higher education institutions around the world are still learning, relearning, adjusting, and adapting to provide quality educations to all. This issue highlighted is benefiting the themes of today's webinar, the internationalization's experience of higher education institutions in Japan and Malaysia. It goes without saying that there is no one-size-fits-all solutions to the problems. At this point, one must thoroughly dissect and determine the best solutions that will fit into the country's and universities' educational environments. Today's discussion will also highlight the role played by everyone within the institutions in address critical issues such as the sustainability of education, the need for technological advancements, and the importance of effective communication within the institutions to ensure that all voices are heard, particularly during these trying times. Distinguished guests and speakers, the only constant is change. The only way to ensure sustainability is to adapt to this change. For Malaysia's, and I am sure for everyone else in the higher education ecosystem around the world, the new internationalization means embracing the new norms in our professional lives. Today, we see more strategic collaborations being established and built online, proving that we managed to overcome the limitations of physical meetings by utilizing the online platform. I believe that virtual internationalization is the way to stay relevant in adapting to the challenges. We must keep up our spirits high as well as our commitments and dedications to continue promoting global educations. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that all panelists will share their strategies for staying relevant and moving forward by revitalizing learning environments so that each solutions and action will better complement the internationalization strategies established by their institutions. I hope that by participating in today's webinar, we will all gain a better understanding of what the future holds for internationalizations of the higher educations. I believe that holding this webinar is an excellent opportunity for us to hear these leaders discuss their challenges, struggles, and inspiring stories, as well as how they are positioning their universities for the future. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone for your times, especially the speakers today, for sharing your thoughts and best practices with the participants. Once again, our special thanks to TOSHIBA International Foundations for their support of this event. Together, we will build and establish the importance of education and internationalizations. With that, I now declare the UKM Global Webinar Series supported by TOSHIBA International Foundations is officially open. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yang Berbahagia Professor Datuk, for that very meaningful welcoming remarks. Okay, before we proceed with this webinar, I would like to remind our participants again that your video and microphone will be muted all the time. Only the videos of the panelists, the moderator, and the MC will be displayed throughout the session. And we hope to end this session by 11:30. Please kindly share your questions in the Q&A section. Please do not use the chat box to post your question there, as we have very limited time. Only selected questions by audience will be asked to the panelists. Okay, let's move on. Now, I would like to introduce our moderator for today's webinar. Well, there's no other than our Associate Professor Dr. Abdul Latif Ahmad. He is our Director of International Relations Center, UKM Global Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, and a Senior Lecturer in the Center of Research in Media and Communication, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. So, now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm virtual applause to our moderator, Associate Professor Dr. Abdul Latif Ahmad. The virtual stage is yours, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz Rasul Mohammad. Assalamualaikum, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good evening. Ohayo gozaimasu to our friends in Japan. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the UKM Global Webinar Series supported by TOSHIBA International Foundation. I am indeed very, very honored to be moderating this session, and even far more honored having the opportunity to have 4 distinguished scholars here today to be able to share their input on and their experiences on their internationalization efforts, especially with regards to higher education institutions in Japan and Malaysia. We are very happy to have the 4 of you here today, and our audience are here excited to learn from the best people who's directly leading the global efforts of each respective universities. I would firstly like to introduce our 4 panelists here today, but prior to that, I would just like to explain the format to all our audience today. The format is a Q&A segment where I will be giving and sharing some questions, and it will be answered by the respective panelists. And from there, we would also welcome some questions in the Q&A section from the audience, and we can move along, including the questions from the audience. Now, with us today, we have 4 distinguished panelists, and if I could have the honor to introduce each and every one of them by reading a bit of their biodata. The first panelist for today is Professor Caroline F. Benton, who was appointed Vice President of Global Affairs in 2013, and she's also the Executive Director of the University of Tsukuba in 2015, after serving as Chair of the university's MBA program in International Business. She is currently the Director General of the university's Bureau of Global Initiatives and serves on various committees, including the Japanese Association of National Universities, International Exchange Committee as an expert member, the International Olympic Committee's Education Commission, and the Research Organization for the Information and Systems Education and Research Council. She is also currently co-heading the US-Japan Higher Education Engagement Advisory Board of Japan Association of National Universities and the American Council on Education. Welcome, Professor Benton, and we are very happy to have you here, as Tsukuba has been a very close partner of Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia as well. Our next panelist is Professor Dr. Mohammad Qasim, who received his degree, his studies in chemistry from Lakehead University, Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, and also from the University of Bristol, United Kingdom in 2003. He has shown great exemplary leadership qualities during his tenure as the Deputy Executive Director of Pro-Vice Chancellor Strategy Office, where he was in charge of research, strategic partnership, and fund generation affair. Subsequently, he served as the Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology and is currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic and International Affairs. He was previously appointed as the visiting professor at the University of Tsukuba in 2019, specially appointed professor at Osaka University 2018, visiting professor at Gifu University in 2017, and also a visiting researcher at the University of Sheffield in 2011. So Japan has been part of Prof. Mohammad's DNA of his journey in the academic field and internationalization as well. Thank you and welcome, Prof. Mohammad. Our next panelist is Professor Yasuyuki Kono, who is the Vice President for International Strategy and Professor of Center for Southeast Asian Studies, CSEAS, Kyoto University. Now, he obtained his Doctor of Agriculture at the University of Tokyo and joined CSEAS in 1987. He has served as Director for CSEAS during the period from 2014 to 2018. Recently, he, together with his multidisciplinary colleagues, explores the new research field of sustainable humanosphere studies, which aims at embedding nature and environment in the dialogue of science and society. He is currently the head of the large-scale international program, Japan ASEAN Science, Technology, and Innovation Platform, in which he promotes interdisciplinary studies and transdisciplinary. So his research has also included centers in Europe, ASEAN, and North America, and doing strategic partnership on-site laboratories and also student mobility programs. We welcome you, Professor Kono. Thank you for coming over as well. And Professor Kono as well has had long-established relationships with Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia and has been in attendance to our university physically as well prior to this. Professor Dr. Narimah Samad started her career as a lecturer at University Science Malaysia. Then she later pursued her PhD funded by the Association of Commonwealth University in University of Leeds from 1999 to 2002. Since then, she has continually working on various GIS projects. Now, her main research interest is in the application of GIS and the urban land use modeling. With that, Dato' Narimah was selected as an ASEAN Science Fellow by the Global Youth Academy in 2016, and she was also a visiting research fellow at University Brunei Darussalam in 2014 and Heriot-Watt University, Edinburgh in 2017. She's now a professional member of the Institution of Geospatial and Remote Sensing Malaysia and Malaysia Geographical Association of Malaysia. And at present, she is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International University Science Malaysia. We welcome you, Professor Narimah. Thank you for making your time to attend for today's session. If I could start with an introduction question first to all our panelists. If we could start with Professor Benton first. If you could kindly introduce your university, University of Tsukuba, and also the role that you play within your respective institution. If we could start with Professor Benton. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm very honored and very delighted to be invited to this wonderful seminar series and for the first one. And thank you very much for your Vice Chancellor for the very encouraging opening messages and also the moderator's kind remarks about all of our panelists. It's very exciting to be here. After nearly 2 years of no travel, it's very nice to have to see our friends at UKM once again. The University of Tsukuba we like to say, is the oldest, but also the newest national university, one of the newest national universities in Japan. I say this because our founding goes back to 1872, when we were the Meiji government, which threw out the samurai, built a modern Japan and wanted to build the first modern higher education system. That was the beginning of our university. At that time, we were in Tokyo, and we were Tokyo Normal School, a school to teach teachers. And then 60 years ago, the government decided they wanted to build a science city in Japan. And so they moved us from Tokyo to Tsukuba. Tsukuba is around 80 kilometers from Tokyo, 60 to 80 kilometers from Tokyo, depending on which area, how you measure it. and it was all a village. There's not many people here, so there's big land here close to Tokyo, and they built a science city in I think the city celebrated its 50th anniversary last year, I think, yes. So 50 years ago they built the city, and then they invited many large research institutes, were all invited to build their research institute in Tsukuba City, including JAXA, the Aerospace Agency, Liken, which has the very fastest supercomputer, and also we are the anchor university in Tsukuba Science City. So we were moved from Tokyo from becoming a normal school to becoming a science technology school, and we were moved here in 1973. And so we have collaborations. There's over 200 research institutes within Tsukuba Science City, which is an actual city with a mayor. And we have a lot of collaborative graduate schools and collaboration with all these big, huge research institutes. So we are a very unique institution in Japan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Prof. Benton. It's exciting to know that I hope I get to visit there one day as well. Thank you. Prof. Mohammad, if you would share some information with UKM and the role that you play here.
Thank you very much, Professor Latif. Thank you very much for inviting me to this wonderful webinar. UKM, as the only national university in Malaysia, was established in 1970. At that time, our founding aspirations was to have an higher education institute that accord Bahasa Malaysia as the medium of learnings and scholarships, and from them, starting with the only three faculty at that time, the Faculty of Islamic Studies, Faculty of Science, and Faculty of Social Science. We have now grown to 14 faculties, and we always thought ourselves as the university that will push forward anything that the government that needs our help in terms of whatever government's problems, our problems, and we will took forward the national issue as our own issues. With that, I think we have emphasized a lot as the time goes. The faculty has expanded, and we are now embarked on various research and educational activities that aspires us to be among the top universities in the world. And currently we are number 35 in ASEAN and number 144 in the world. And with the recent changes in the during this difficult time, we also shift a lot of our focuses to be with the nations, to help the nations to solve the pandemic issue. And we are the only, I think, the only universities in Malaysia that provide for support to push up the vaccination programs with our 4 centers that we would hope to bring the nation out of this pandemic as soon as we can, and we will back as our normal businesses. I think that's for now, Prof. Latif.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Mohammad. And Prof. Kono?
Yes.
Thank you.
Kyoto University was established in 1897, so we celebrate the 125th anniversary next year, and we have 10 undergraduate faculty, 18 graduate schools, and 13 research institutes. So it's a sort of comprehensive universities. And one of the outstanding characteristics of the Kyoto University is its research oriented. We are located in Kyoto, and it's from Tokyo, it's around 450 kilometers far from Tokyo. This distance is quite important, even though it's just two hours travel by Shinkansen. But we try to keep a little distance from the government. We try to more concentrate in research works, and And of course, we try to connect ourselves with global societies. So in that sense, our direction may be a little bit different from what the University of Tokyo is doing. But this result in so many number of big laureate. We have 11 Nobel laureate or other outstanding winners. And my mission is coordination of international activity, research and education activities of the universities. Major activities, research and education. And we have some research strategy, education strategies. And internationalization is embedded in these strategies. And so there must be somebody who coordinates them. That is my mission. And we also have 3 overseas centers. One is Europe, it's located in Germany. Second is ASEAN. ASEAN is in Bangkok. Third is North America. It's in Washington, D.C. And these overseas offices is a kind of hub of Kyoto University in each region. And my mission, we are coordinating it. And ASEAN Center was established 6 years ago. 6 years ago in Bangkok, but it's located, even though it is located in Bangkok, but we the staff of the center frequently travel to Malaysia, Indonesia, or other countries in ASEAN regions. So that is Kyoto University. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Prof. Kono. If I would invite Professor Narima to share her experience with University Science Malaysia and a brief introduction of the university as well. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day and ohayo gozaimasu to all. Thank you, Prof. Dr. Abdul Latif, for your kind introduction. USM is the second oldest public university in Malaysia. It was founded in 1969. Our vision is transforming higher education for sustainable tomorrow. USM is committed in pursuing concerted effort to designing the best talent among our students to enable them to transform socio-economic well-being and contribute to a sustainable future. USM is a research-intensive university and a designated university under Ministry Accelerated Program for Excellence, or APEX. Our main campus is located in Penang Island, which is in the northwest part of Peninsular Malaysia. We have 5 branch campuses. Health campus is located in Kubang Krian, Kelantan. We have Advanced Medical and Dental Institute in Bertam, which is also in the mainland of Penang. We have engineering campus in Nibong Tebal, Penang, and we have our postgraduate studies campus in the heart of capital city of Kuala Lumpur. We also have an offshore medical campus, which is located in Karnataka, India. So this is one of our effort to reach out globally. USM offer a variety of undergraduate and postgraduate program, which are so far we have attracted students from more than 70 countries. We also offer courses ranging from life sciences and medical. We also offer engineering and technology, pure science and applied science, arts, humanities, and also social science. As a Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academic and International, my role is more of to plan and oversee the offering of academic programs that are future relevant based on well-designed curriculum geared toward impactful learning and living experience for nation building and global expectation. We are also actively involved in enhancing internationalization agenda in academic programs, student activities and engagement, and research and international and also community engagement. Additionally, we also focus on advancing strategic linkages to attract talents and international students. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Prof. Narima. It's exciting to hear about the history of our universities respectively and the roles that you play in promoting internationalization efforts. Based on that experience and those introduction as well, if possible for all the panelists as well, would you be able to share some of the experiences that your university has had with Japanese or Malaysian universities if you're coming from the other country? Maybe we can start with Prof. Mohammad first. Based on your experiences that we hear, there's a lot of connection, but if you could share some of the experiences that UKM has had with Japanese universities per se.
Thank you very much, Prof. Latif. I think we all know we can go far quickly on our own, but we can do more collaboratively. So in that sense, I think we need collaborations. And with that in our minds, we have worked together with our colleague in Malaysia. And we also expand our horizon by looking into the rest of the world, and in particular, as mentioned by our Vice Chancellor earlier, we have worked for a long time with Japanese institutions as early as 1970s. And I think in the 80s, the government has introduced the LUPIS policies. And with that, several higher education institutions, including ourselves, has embarked on various activities to promote the collaboration between Malaysia and Japan. And UKM in particular has no exceptions. We work closely with various institutions, be it government institutions, the national universities, and then also the private universities. And so far, as mentioned by our Vice Chancellor, we have about close to 60 strong collaborations between the UKM and various agencies in Japan. When I started as a dean back in 2018, and in fact, long before that, the Faculty of Science, in particular, from my experience, has worked with various higher institutions in Japan, and we built up our collaborations. We started mainly from research, and then into some other educational or academic programs. And to that extent, we have managed to engage with top universities in Japan, including Tsukuba universities, Kyoto University. We also have some collaborations, and also Osaka universities. And with that interest in our minds, we started to with the student exchange. This is another fact that I think most of us have embarked on. Student exchange is one of the many ways that we can foster closer collaborations with institutions, especially between Malaysia and Japan. And from there, we do also a staff exchange between the various research groups, particularly in Faculty of Science and Technology, Faculty of Engineering and Social Sciences. And from that, we have talked formally with various deans in various universities in Japan. I think at one time, we met a representative from USM as well while we're in Japan, I think visiting Osaka universities at that time. And from there, I think between us, UKM and USM, we have worked in similar ways with various institutions in Japan until I think we managed to establish two joint collaborative degree with Gifu University, which is the international PhD programs, and also the dual degree program with Osaka University. These are the examples how the casual collaboration between research group has expanded to a formal, and at the end we managed to secure two important international degrees between UKM and the University in Japan. I think in Malaysia as well, the government has also introduced the higher education, Malaysian education blueprints that runs from 2015 to 2030. One of the pillars in here is to increase the international students enrollment up to more than 200,000 by the year 2025. We are now just around the corners, and I think we need to work more to get more international collaborations in terms of enrollment of the students, student exchange, and also staff action, just to increase that activities so that we can, with the openness of the world to the use of technologies, I think various conventional academic programs can also be offered through the online platforms. And I think these activities can, be expanded in the future. With that, I think more and more activities and also collaboration between the institutions, and also we also increasingly seeing more participations from the industry as well. I think that is also a good signs for us, and we have also managed to secure some grants from institutions from Japan, and I think this should continue in the future, and with the objective that's to, we want to be be the top on the world, and also to be collaboratively promoting international educations.
Thanks. Thank you, Prof. Mohammad. It's rather holistic in that matter. Every aspect of education and internationalization, UKM has always been promoting those efforts, specifically with our partners in Japan as well, also with other countries. Professor Kono, what about yourself? If you could share some of the experiences that you've had with Malaysian universities.
Yes, Kyoto University currently have university level MOU with 3 Malaysian universities, and the department level MOU with 12 Malaysian universities. And with 2 universities in Malaysia, we have university level SEA, Student Exchange Agreement. And so Malaysia is undoubtedly one of the most important partner of research and education for us. And but what kind of which field we emphasize? It's rather difficult to identify, but at the beginning, say 1980s, 90s, major focus was nature, ecosystems. Like we established experimental field in Sabah, Malaysia. So the beginning, we focused more on nature of Malaysia. So the major field was ecology, biology, something like this. But around 2000, the field of researchers who have strong collaboration with Malaysia sharply increased, expanded, like civil engineering, environmentalism. So they focused on some kind of water pollution in Peninsular Malaysia, or some are doing about disaster studies of Malaysia, or medical sciences, or we also have collaboration in the field of Islamic studies. So now we have collaboration in various fields of researches, and these are reflected in not only in research works but also education works, education collaborations. Now we have joint double degree programs in the field of energy science and medical sciences. And how to say? So for these kind of collaboration, one of the key players to promote this is our alumni, Kyoto University alumni, now who is working in Malaysia. They established an association. They call it My Kyoto. That is rather strong. The number is not so big, but there is a very strong and well organized group of researchers who graduate from Kyoto universities. And as I told, we have ASEAN Center, and in collaboration with ASEAN Center, My Kyoto, we organize it's a forum or seminars several times at Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Another recent initiative of Kyoto University is Kyoto IAP. Kyoto IAP is undergraduate programs for international students. So at the beginning, usually we teach everything in Japanese, but for these programs, we introduced English teaching for the first 2 years of undergraduate. So we are recruiting the good student from the best high schools, not only in Malaysia, but also in many ASEAN countries. Our major target is ASEAN. So under this program, we are also having some Malaysian undergraduate students now in Kyoto University. So in that sense, we have a very strong and wide range collaboration with Malaysian universities and Malaysian society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Kono. Yeah, the My Kyoto Alumni Association is very, very strong. It doesn't have to be too big, but you have so many prominent individuals there. And a lot of our academic scholars are also part of that association, and always happy for that. Thank you, Prof. Next, Prof. Narima, if you could share some of the experiences your university have had with Japanese partners.
Okay, thank you. Actually, for USM, we have very strong collaboration with various universities in Japan. At present, for example, we have about 82 active MOU, MOA, and agreement signed between USM and other institutions in Japan. This MOU, MOA covers activities related to academics, human capital development, research, staff and student exchange, and also workshop and also training. Some of the sample program conducted between the two universities include reciprocal agreement, where we have students from the Japanese partner university can come to Malaysia for about 2 to 3 weeks for cultural and academic short exchange program, and vice versa. We also have where the program fee for those kind of activity are usually covered by the host university. The aim is to give a chance for students to go abroad and at the same time learn about culture and also language of the country. We also have credited programs, a short program which provide opportunity for Japanese students to earn credit while studying for a short period in USM, where upon completion, the student will be awarded the credit to be taken to the home institution. This is subject to academic regulation of the home institution as well. For example, we have an English and cultural program with Kyoto University. We also have a short program with Kyoto University of Foreign Studies, where the student came for about a group of students. Usually they come twice yearly in February and also in August. This is prior to COVID, where the student came to learn English to help them preparing for TOEIC exam. So another one that we have is students exchange program, where students can pursue 1 or 2 semester taking courses in USM. This is quite popular among Japanese students, where USM offer courses in various programs which is taught in English. The English proficiency is required in this program. Another one is that we also have internship or research attachment. Under this program, students can come to USM and also did their internship and have the experience to work with us at USM. In terms of research and economic programs, we have a strong research activity with institution in Japan. For example, with Osaka University, we also have, this is in chemical engineering, where from there we have dual PhD degree program, between Osaka University and USM. With Hiroshima City University, for example, we have sustainable development programs where we run the workshop every year. This is prior to COVID. Now we try to do it online. In fact, the strength based on the the strong engagement with Japanese institution in research, Toray Foundation have built a building in USM to house all research activity, not only those related to Japan, but also with other institutions as well. We also have a Japanese Cultural Center, which is located in this building. We have one officer from Japan that that become a director of the center to promote cultural and also academic activity between USM and other institutions in Japan. So basically, we have a very strong collaboration in USM and also in between USM and Japanese institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Narima. It's really good to see, it's research, it's mobility. I know USM has been a very popular destination for a lot of mobility students there as well. And to have Toray Foundation sponsor a building that caters for research is definitely an amazing fit. Thank you very much, Prof. Prof. Benton, if you could share some of the experiences with regards to the relationship that you have with Malaysian universities.
Thank you much. As your Vice Chancellor had mentioned, the friendship between Japan and Malaysia is very special. And I think all Japan really feels a very closeness to Malaysia. And our university, of course, is no exception. And we've had a long history of collaboration. Currently, we have 9 MOUs with Malaysian universities, including UKM, of course. And before the pandemic, we had 44 students, exchange students from Malaysia in 2019. And I think 2020 was supposed to be above 50, but of course, travel had stopped. So we do really hope to regain our exchange of students as well. And with the 9 MOUs, we have 7 of them are university-wide MOUs, which means students can study in all different areas. One of our most ambitious and most successful in terms of education exchange was our AIMS project, the Asian International Mobility Project. And in 2013, AIMS was selected for Japan's government during the AIMS program and selected 7 universities to be involved in the AIMS program and granted funding for this program. And the University of Tsukuba was selected as the coordinating school for all Japan's AIM program. And Nomura Sensei, which I'm sure many of you know, is very active in Malaysia, probably the most active professor in terms of student exchange with Malaysia in Japan, maybe. So he was in charge of our AIMS program, which was very, very successful. And we got the highest post-project evaluation after the end of the AIMS program, which ended 5 years, the 5 years funded program. However, we have continued the AIMS program with the AIMS chat, global chat, and some from all over, from not just Malaysia, but all over ASEAN as well. And we are still working on this AIMS project. And also, we are part of the MJIIT, the Malaysia Jam International Institute of Technology, which Kyoto University is also is cooperating with MJIIT. There are 29 universities in MJIIT, Japanese universities that was funded by JICA, and it's within the campus of UTM, University of Technology of Malaysia. And this MJIT has 5 different core master courses called, one is Electronic Systems Engineering, one is MOT, one is Environmental Engineering and Green Technology, one is Mechanical Precision Engineering, and another is Disaster Risk Management. And with the changing weather, Japan has been tackling disasters for many decades. And Malaysia also recently had some really environmental problems in terms of disasters. So we are now coordinating the Disaster Risk Management master's program for Japan, and Kyoto University is involved in this disaster risk management program here. So we are working with a consortium of Japanese universities to deliver this disaster risk management program, which was which was asked by the Malaysian side because disasters are frequently more, and Japan has a lot of history in tackling disasters with earthquakes and tsunamis and hurricanes as well. So we are doing this. And then, so we are doing, in terms of the MJ, we have sent 2 professors there that have been there, and they are working with Malaysian teachers to implement the program. And then one other thing that we have done that I think is quite remarkable is CMIO, which is the Southeast Asian Ministers Association, which the Ministry of Malaysia is also involved in CMIO, and we are the office, we are the window to CMIO for the Japan side, and we have invited many researchers. For annual, before the pandemic, we have annual researchers conference at our university where researchers from Malaysia and from other CMIO countries have all been here, hundreds, 100, 200 people at one time every year. This year it's been online, a very successful online workshop on math education, which many Malaysian and also Thai and also other professors have joined us. Where over 1,000 people joined that seminar. So we are working. We have been working very closely with the Malaysian government, and we have been very happy to invite many Malaysian students into our university. Also, we've used the Sakura Science JSPs, Japan Society Science and Technology Agency's Sakura Science program to invite young researchers into our university to learn about Japan's science technology. And on a very interesting note, we have 2 halal restaurants in our university, focusing much of it's on Malaysian food, and it is the most popular cafeteria within our university.
Wow.
And that's where I go to eat. It's the best tasting things.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Benton. So there's a lot of things that unite us in that way, all the way from natural disasters to food. So life isn't that complex after all. There's a range of activities. And when you mentioned Prof. Nomura, he has been the face of Tsukuba's international mobility as well. He's been working very, very hard with his team member, Ms. Mayu and all. And we've been actively involved with the Sukuchat events. And also thank you, Tsukuba, for always sending students here to UKM for our programs as well. Thank you very much. Yeah,
we're very delighted. Thank you.
Okay. Well, on that note, we move to a bit of a more serious topic, but I thought we'd better off to start with this, especially, and then we'll see how we can progress from there. Let's talk about the global pandemic, the COVID-19. It has severely affected internationalization. It has changed a lot of modus operandi of a lot of universities across the world. Let's start off with this question and try to find solutions or suggestions or strategies later on. How has the internationalization strategies of your respective universities been affected with COVID-19, and how have you found ways in overcoming this? If we could invite Prof. Kono first to answer the question.
Okay. Actually, in Japan, how to say, during the last one and a half years, almost all international travel stopped. It's not only for faculty, but also students. And what we could do is some sort of online programs. Currently, we start to think, no, we can travel. We start to send some students. Even during the last 1.5 years, we sent several students who will stay in the destination for a long time, like under the joint double degree programs. So who will stay in, like, for example, Germany for 1 year. Then we stay, but it's a situation. And what we could do is that one is, like, we organize summer schools. It's usually a physically invite them to come, and we last year and this year we provided by online, and we provide 4 summer schools, online summer schools, to the student, not only from ASEAN countries, but from some Europe or North American students. And what we could learn is that online is not a substitute of physical mobility. Online is something different. What we can do by online is something different from what physical mobility can do. But so in that sense, online have several advantages and disadvantages compared to physical mobility. By online, we can provide more. We can provide schools to more number of students, and by online, we can go to field easily. I mean, we produce video of field survey, right? Like some schools taught like forest ecology, and so they prepare the video shooted by drone, and then they can easily show what is ecosystems in the forest. And we could do it by online. Or some schools about construction works. They prepare the video of dam construction site in advance and show it. So by this way, there are some advantages. But at the same time, disadvantage is that, how can I say, there are no activity outside the classroom. We cannot chat with them, and we cannot, how can I say, we cannot establish personal relation with the student. So our conclusion is that we should continue online programs even after the pandemic. But it's something, but it is not as a substitute of physical mobility. We will resume physical mobility, but continue online programs, and we have to use both. That is our basic strategy of toward pandemic, it is true that particularly graduate students who are doing research based on field works, they are facing very serious situation, and they are very serious under serious conditions. Some want to study about wild animals in Africa. They cannot go there. So we are thinking that we should resume dispatching student programs to dispatch students with safety measures as much as possible. That is what we are talking about at Kyoto now. Thank you.
Yeah, true. I think a lot of people think that when we switch to online, it's just replicating the physical to the virtual, but it's beyond that. And the potential of the virtual online platform offers many more than what replicating is just all about. Thank you very much, Prof. Kono. Prof. Narima, if you could share, how has COVID-19 affected your internationalization strategies, and where are you going from here? Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Admittedly, pandemic have affected international physical mobility. Generally, we have a declining trend in the need for students to study abroad. However, the quality of education and experiential learning can still be obtained through innovative way despite the pandemic. As shared by Professor Kono just now, many things can be explored where virtually we can still continue the exercise or the experience. For example, here we have archaeological sites. Although we could not bring the students there, but we still have a virtual video, a virtual tour to the site as well. And interestingly, based on the initiative, we continue to promote our university for academic program, for mobility program, and recent statistic by EMGS, for example, have shown that our international student application have increased quite significantly. For example, during this time, the same period last year, we only have about 300 applications for student to USM for various programs. But this year we have more than 1,000 application through EMDS to come to Malaysia. So basically, whatever the strategy is that we continue to ensure that we still provide our education and mobility program during the lockdowns. We also opt for technology, online classes, learning experience. Also, we understand that learning experience through online maybe could not substitute fully face-to-face interaction, but we continue to engage our students with online platform through supervision, discussion, and also training. Interestingly, I just want to share one of the example is that for our Malay studies program, we have a very interesting program, mobility program in credit transfer in Malay studies. Because of the pandemic, we have a sharp drop in the student coming from China, Thailand, for example, but we continue to engage with them, although they didn't come here, but we conduct online debates, competition, for example, and recently, just a few days ago, we completed oratory competition for students from Thailand and also from China. So basically, although the pandemic have limits our movement, our mobility, but we continue to do the business as usual. Beyond that, we also focus on the learning experience for our students. We try to ensure that the benefit from the situation that students continue without losing other benefits, such as international exposure, access to networking, for example, to continue ensure that our students continue to engage. We have industrial panel, for example, and this is given the opportunity for our students and our staff to continue. Just to share with another initiative by USM, for example, we appoint fellow and academic fellow and industrial fellow using gig economy initiative. We call it gig economy initiative, where the fellow does not have to come to USM during the appointed period. For now, we already appointed more than 140 fellows. This is renowned professor. They are good in the industry. They are good. They have a strong linkages in industry and also in the academic worlds. They can continue to provide collaboration in terms of experience for our students. So I think these are among the strategy that we conducted in order to ensure that learning experience for our students and also the exposure for our staff to engage with international partners to continue. By the way, we have two professors from Japan also being appointed for 1 year under this program, where they are attached with, one of them is in Advanced Medical and Dental Institute, and the other one is a School of Mathematical Science. So I think although despite the pandemics, we continue our activity as usual, although we couldn't see face-to-face, but we meet virtually. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Narima. Very, very impressive. The continuity is important. I think a lot of us has always been discussing, last year it was about survival, you know, where everyone was trying to survive. And now is to ensure that this mode is there for future sustainability and how we can live with that. And it's also very impressive to hear that many people are assuming that the international student recruitment would fall, would go lower this year, but USM has proven that it's the other way around. Thank you, Prof. Prof. Benton, if you could share your input with how it has affected your university and where do you go from there?
Thank you very much. I agree completely with Professor Kono and Professor Samad about how we can use online as a separate thing from face-to-face learning. And of course, face-to-face learning has its best points, and online also has, as was mentioned, a different set of benefits that we can make full use of in this pandemic times. And so, as I once before maybe 3 years ago, I was talking to students who had traveled abroad on exchange program. I was trying to understand what motivated them and how I could encourage other Japanese students to go abroad. And they told me, this is very interesting. They said, one third of the students will want to go abroad no matter what you do. 1/3 don't know they don't know about the opportunities. And another 1/3 won't go no matter what you do. So 1/3, I can leave them know they'll go anyway. 1/3, I need to give them information and to help them, provide them. So that's what I've been trying to do this last 4 or 5 years. And with using online information, I have been able to, we have been able to hold international seminars, group chats. I talked about the AIMS chat with you just a while ago, having our students talk with students from the country to get them interested in international mobility. One way we can use online is to use this as a starting point for them to taste the experience of reaching out beyond their borders. And then they will, after the pandemic, after movement is made more easily, they will be able to then grow interest and then be able to go. So that's what we have been trying to do. And we believe fully that in a VUCA world, which is, VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, the world needs more global cooperation than less. So we do need, it's our responsibility to nurture global leaders who can work across borders, national borders, disciplinary borders, organizational borders. So we need to be able to offer these opportunities. And as I'm sure many of the other same situation with your universities, we have students who are really demanding to go to abroad right now. So, why can't I go abroad? Why can't I go abroad? And so we have been very strict about this. But however, the Ministry of Education has said that the Japanese Ministry of Education said that if it's a year-long program, exchange program, not short, but just year-long, or for example, double degree or joint degree, they can allow students to go abroad as long as safety measures are put in place. And what I've been doing is my job. One of my job as the Director General of the Office of Global Initiatives is to make sure students going abroad is safe in a safe way manner, and to screen which students and where they can go. So since this ministry's announcement of allowing students to go abroad for 1 year was in mid-July. So we're just starting now receiving applicants. I think we received around 10, 20 applicants, and because they're demanding to go. And we've a panel of our professors have screened them. This includes their plans, how they're going to travel, and their university, the university on the other side, what type of measures their partner university has to maintain safety protocols, and also what will happen if they do get sick by some unfortunate chance with COVID, what will happen then. So we're screening very carefully, and I think we may begin to start sending some students in early October, mostly to joint degrees and double degree programs, because they were promised to a year abroad for their master's joint degree. So those were leading the ways. And also we had many Olympians, and because we're a big sports university, the father of modern judo was Kano Jigoro, was the principal of our university for 23 years. So we're very strong in sports science as well. So we have many athletes who are competing on the world levels, the university games. And so, but in those cases, the associations, the game associations, the association of the different sports will make sure that all the safety measures are in place and will control the movements of the students when they go abroad. So we have been able to do that. And also one major thing, my final thing, I think we have what we call a course jukebox, a campus and concept initiative, a course jukebox, where we have a databases of courses from our strategic partners where we share courses. This has been just a list of courses where students can look and then go abroad. But now we're going to transform this into a Japanese virtual campus. The Ministry of Education has given us the project to develop with kind of like a Japanese version of Kyocera, of course, Corsia. And so we are now, it's just being developed, and we are we're going to develop a unique, not just a copy of that, but a unique Japanese version that is going to be an all Japan initiative. It's the Ministry of Education's initiative. So it's an all Japan initiative where we will, it's just started, so we're still in the planning stages, but we are developing this Japan virtual campus, where we will invite universities from all over the world and from Japan to add their courses that they would like to share. And also, we are going to include industry partners as well. We hope to include industry partners as well. So this is what we're starting on right now. So that would be one of the biggest things that we would do from this point. Thank you.
Interesting. We look forward for the Japan virtual campus, offering. I think we've got to be a bit more creative with our offerings and not like what Prof. Kono said, not just replicating the physical to the virtual. And it's interesting how students' interest of going abroad is still there. I think everyone's just being cooped up. Even all of us here would love to get a fresh breath of fresh air outside of the country as well. It's also interesting to see there's a lot of discussions required when sending our students abroad, especially if we're sending it to another country. What happens if they fall sick? And how is our partners there going to be able to take care of them as well? And it could be something where we both have to engage further in terms of sending and receiving students abroad. Thank you, Prof. Benton. If Prof. Mohammad, if you'd like to share the UKM experience in all this.
Thank you, Prof. Latif. I think in the beginning, when we were hit with the pandemics, we are struggling to find ourselves and how to move forward. But now I think we are in the second year. What opened up more to these pandemics is acceptance. We are now, we trust the online system more than what we were before. With that trust, I think that's opened up a lot of opportunity, and that's also reflected in various activities that we do that involve our courses, our exams, our collaboration, and so on. I think with the trust are already in place, we can still continue what we have before the pandemics, and these things open up more opportunity for us. For example, in the UKM, prior to pandemics, we put internationalization as one of the main agenda to bring more students from abroad to our universities and vice versa. I think we have also passed some key decisions at the Senate level that allow students to take courses from various universities, be it in Malaysia or from abroad, and incorporate that into their curriculums in the UKM. So that is a landmark decision that we made that allow a lot of these courses that are being offered through the online platforms be accepted as part of their curriculums for the students. Previously, we have to enroll the student in MOOCs and on all those things. But now the conventional programs has transformed some of their courses to online courses, and these students can enroll in these courses from various universities, be it in Malaysia or from abroad, and then register that courses as part of the curriculum. So this is, I think, a positive move. I think not only for UKM, in fact, for all universities in Malaysia and also in Japan, to open up more to the new norms and how we conduct our courses, and also allow the students to have more choices to chart their academic career in the future. And I think, and with the increase, I think I want to get back to what I said earlier on the trust. We trust the system more now, the online system more. You know, we have found out that we put in place various measures to discourage students from cheating and so on. So we trust more the system. So now we are more acceptable. The online courses are more acceptable to the academics in a broader sense. So with that, I think everyone's the institutions can work closer, even though we are far away from each other. And the student does not need to be present in persons to enable them to enroll in these courses. And apart from the formal engagement, we can also continue to do the summer programs, the student leadership programs by the virtual, the online platforms. For example, in UKM, we have continued to conduct the leadership programs. For example, the global leadership programs that we conducted in August and September last year that attract students from various parts of the world through the virtual program that focus on creating new global leaders. These young people need to be given platforms so that they can nurture their leadership quality, and especially in the new era where leadership and multiculturalism is the global norms that the young generations are putting themselves into. Apart from that, I think we also co-host various activities involving higher education, in particular between the Japan and Malaysia University. We conducted programs with Tsukuba University, Sophia University from Japan, and we also have program with Airlangga University in Indonesia, and also the the Monterrey in Mexico. These are some of the examples, the international program that we continue to conduct, even though during this difficult time. I think the way forward for us is by having this trust on the online activity, we can open up more activities that involve formally face-to-face activities, be it in the education programs or in the research and collaboration with the industry. So I think the industry is also now open up themselves to conduct various activities to the online platforms.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Yeah, the pandemic really taught us to embrace the technology. I mean, the technology has been there, but we've never been put in a position to actually use it until now, since it's part of our daily norms already. We are going to another segment at the moment, which is the Q&A, and we've got a question for almost each and every one of you, different questions as well. I'll be taking it in various orders. Maybe it's the first question, if I could ask Prof. Kono on this question. It is a question by Crescenti Exor Barcelona. And the question says, how do you go about international student mobility in this new normal, particularly in internship? If you were able to assist us with answering that question specifically. Yeah.
You mean internship?
Yes, yes.
I see. And our basic policy is that try to resume the programs before the pandemic. And and about the overseas activities, including of the students, as much as possible, we try to take safety measures and send the student to abroad. And their experience, physical experience, cannot be replaced by something else. And of course, but for this, we need some preparations. One preparation is for us, we should collect information of safety or situation of pandemic in the destination areas. But the other is we have to train students who will go to overseas. what they have to do. So by this, we try to do it. And of course, if in addition, we may have to prepare some sort of online internship programs. But I believe that that is a kind of preparation of the physical internship programs. That is what we are discussing in Kyoto. Thank you.
So it's a prerequisite. So
Right.
it will a component that will support them in going abroad. Okay, thank you, Prof. Kono. I guess it's very difficult to just replace physical internship with just virtual internship in that matter. Okay, if Prof. Mohammad, if I could ask you a question here, because it's all pandemic related, so I thought we'd just go with these questions. I'm curious if there are emerging discussions at your respective universities about being more intentional regarding international academic collaboration in area of public health, specifically, and this comes from Dr. Sunil Kukreya. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we do. And just for the benefit of our participant this morning, UKM, we have also Faculty of Medicines, we have Faculty of Allied Health, and also Faculty of Dental, and Allied Health and medical related faculty among the strong faculty that we have. And we do have programs, be it face-to-face programs or the virtual programs from this faculty that open up to all students and also academic around the world. And with that, I think we also promote mobility for these programs as well.
Thank you very much. I think UKM specifically has also played quite an extensive role with regards to the public health situation, especially being a vaccine center and also a lot of educating the public on this matter as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
We've got a long question, but the panelists, feel free to answer the questions online as well. If you're able to type out any answers, you can, because I think time is just allowing us to have one person to answer each question. Assalamualaikum, Professor Datuk Narima, and this is by Ahmad Taufik Hidayah Abdullah from UNIZA. Well, I'm assuming, yeah, it's UNIZA. Yeah. Your university at USM has reaped a lot with your mobility programs, and you have received significantly high number of applications during this pandemic time. Just wondering if you don't mind, what are your favorite or popular mobility programs, credited or non-credited? And secondly, what is the USM strategies to woo and attract students to come to USM? Especially in joining your mobility program. I bet your mobility team is working extra hard, Professor Narima, over this pandemic period as well. Yeah, please, Prof. Narima.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the questions. Basically for mobility program, we have less number of students coming to USM, okay, because of the movement control order and but we continue to engage with the students. For example, one of the activities is that we send a box, we call Malaysians box, where it contains all the items related to Malaysia to our Japanese students. This is Japanese cultural and Malaysian cultural programs. So that is being done by our mobility team. And Cik Aizat, for example, has been very active in doing things like this. And then they just love doing this, and they just love engage with international students where different kind of activity being undertaken. In addition to that, we keep on, for example, we have my favorite one is Malay Studies program. We try to find a unique brand for this program because we know the world out there, so many universities can provide so many different programs. The reason I'm pointing out Malay Studies program is because I'm at that time I was the dean from the School of Humanities, where I'm involved as well actively in developing and also promoting the program. And this can still be done during this pandemic era. Although students couldn't come here, but the engagement is continued. For example, with Malay Studies program, we have, if I'm not mistaken, 11 institutions in China offering Malay Studies program. And then they have this mobility program where students can come to Malaysia or other institutions, other countries, for example, to learn Malay, basically come to Malaysia, to learn Bahasa Melayu. To learn Bahasa Melayu for 1 semester or 1 year. Prior to COVID, we received from 6 different universities from China to come to Malaysia. Unfortunately, because of the situation, they couldn't come, but we continue to engage with them. The unique of the program is that we teach them Malay, but while teaching them other things as well. For example, we teach literature, cultural, arts, things like that. Not just teaching them Bahasa Melayu. So, for example, courses they are taking, for example, dance in Malay, for example. This is part of co-curriculum activity, but they are taking it as a credit transfer to be taken back to their country. While they are learning how to dance, they are learning Bahasa Melayu. So these are the uniqueness of the program. During pandemic era, for example, another activity that might be interesting to share is that, for example, we teach them how to make curry puff, for example. This is Malay famous where we have it with tea, for example. We teach them how to make curry puff while teaching them how to learn Bahasa Melayu. This kind of activity require face-to-face engagement. But due to pandemic, we continue to engage with them so that the university continue to remember us. For example, we recently have training on Bahasa Melayu. We invite Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka, for example, to engage, to train these students. And also we invite other institutions, for example, Institute Perguruan Bahasa, for example, to help to engage with the students. So basically, the continuous engagement is the key to it. And recently, we found out that 5 universities in Thailand also offering a major in Bahasa Melayu. So before the pandemic, Qasim University, for example, sent students to learn Bahasa Melayu at our university. But now, because of the pandemic, we couldn't receive because the closure of the borders. So now, last weekend, we conducted a debate kind of thing in the online competition where the 5 universities sent participants. So we invite them and other universities that have Malay Studies program, not just for major but also for elective and things like that, to continue and then be with us in this kind of program. And so far with Malay Study, we have reached to Italy. We know there's a university in Moscow also that have Malay Study program, so we already have MOU with them. We also have a representative of one university from Japan, one from South Korea. So basically, apart from our starting point as a small department at USM, now we are reaching up at global level with Malay Studies. This is, I think, unique in the sense that we are not only teaching language, but also we teach them cultural, arts, and also literature. So this is probably what I can share here is that continuous engagement with the university and also the student are the key to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. And the creativity of coming up with programs, having the Malaysian box, welcoming people into, not being here, but making them feel that they are here as well. And the creative involvement and having a great supportive team has definitely been a plus point. Just to share with some of our Japanese counterparts, currently, we are not offering visa for mobility. So it's very difficult for us to get physical inbound students into Malaysia for mobility program. And this applies across the world. And we're hoping for further developments on this area as well. But the virtualness, we've got to embrace the virtualness and explore the possibilities there as well. We've got a question for you, Prof. Benton. And this is with regards to how the pandemic has affected Tsukuba University's plan to have a university branch in Malaysia. I think many were very excited with that when we heard of this situation.
Thank you very much for the question. We're also very excited to be able to have a campus in Malaysia. The pandemic, of course, has not allowed. Negotiations are still going on in terms of the campus, our branch campus. If it is planned to have it accredited in Japan and in Malaysia. So this campus would have accreditation for both countries, which requires negotiations with both countries' governments and their specific ministries. So this is still going on. The negotiations are still going on, but the plans are still in place that we do hope to be able to be the first national university to build a campus, an accredited campus with a degree from the University of Tsukuba in Kuala Lumpur. And we are right now. I'm not sure. I think we still don't think it's going to be delayed, but we are working on this, and the negotiations with the government are still going on. I think also with your new government that you've had, and Japan is may have a new government too. We're going to have elections, so I'm not sure. That will cause some may cause some waiting periods, but we do hope to be on schedule for our Malaysia campus, and we are very excited about being able to do this. And we do believe Malaysia will be the perfect place to have the first Japanese National University's campus outside of Japan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're excited for that, and we're looking forward to that taking place as well. This brings us to the next question. Many of us have been talking about virtual programs and online programs. Now, in a recent QS 2020 survey, COVID-19 is impacting prospective international students at different study level reports, and they've mentioned that over almost 43% stated that they are not interested with online learning. It is very challenging with that notion. Now, how does your institution prepare in dealing with this notion and ensure that meaningful learning can still take place? I've got a question here as well that maybe I could combine with this question. And this is a question by Professor Sugimura. And hold on, let me get the question here again. And Professor Sugimura, thank you for attending from Sophia University, one of our close partners as well. And her question is about the possibility of collaborative online international learning, COIL. Now, some Japanese universities, including my university, Sophia University, has started to develop COIL programs. And what do you think at this point, especially between Malaysia and Japan COIL program? I've seen that Prof. Mohammad has mentioned about COIL with UMAP program, and UMAP is the University Mobility of Asia Pacific. Maybe you'd like to kick off the discussion on this, Prof. Mohammad.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ratib. Yes, as I mentioned in my short answer to that question, we are actively involved in COIL, promoting these programs as a way of for us to deal or to continue the activities through the online platforms. We are working with UMAPs as the platforms for these collaborations, and we're looking forward to various participation, especially from Japan or from the rest of the world. I think I realized that we also have participants from Thailand and various places. And I'm sure, although the answer might be directly with universities in Japan, but we also open up our activities to other partners from various regions in the world as well. Thank you very much.
Great. With regards to UMAP, previously Japan was the international secretariat under Toyo University for University of Mobility of Asia Pacific, and that has opened up a lot of potential collaborations. USM, UKM, among others, are a member of UMAP as well, being formed part of the country membership, and that opens our doors to those actively involved. Just to share as well, I myself am currently being involved with a program with European Union and SHARE together with Prof. Keiko of Kansai University. And we're looking at understanding and concept and mapping virtual exchanges in ASEAN. And we're also hoping to look at understanding COIL more, and we're introducing the concept or explaining the concept to universities across ASEAN countries. And we hope that we will see a bit more positivity with that progress. If I could have some comments on Prof. Kono on that with regards to the challenges of teaching and learning online, and also a possibility of a COIL sort-like program.
Yes, in Kyoto University, we have some discussions maybe several years ago or more than that about introducing COIL into our education program, but finally it was not so much successful here in Kyoto. The major reason is, as much as I understand, how to assure the quality assurance. But currently, since last year, we are forced to introduce online lectures, even in a house, in universities. And so under these situations, what we are start talking about is that we may be able to introduce a sort of global classrooms. Like now we are talking with one university in US, but from both sides, both students can join into one classroom, because virtually, and both faculty members can share the classrooms. So this kind of, how can I say, initiative may be introduced in Kyoto, but the most important for this kind of initiative is that trust between faculties in both sides. And so so this trust, if we can find such kind of good combinations, we may be able to introduce such kind of, now we call it global classroom. We may be able to introduce this kind of new style of lectures. Thank you.
Thanks, Prof. Kono. It's true. All it requires is one academic from each of the university to send an email to one another, and then a lot of progress can take place from there. And that's why the partnership, the networking, the associations, all of this could actually help us out and connect us with one another in that matter. Thank you. I'm going to the next question, and this is relatable with online learning and the challenges of virtual learning. How are we dealing with issues? It's been over a year and a half now. How are we dealing with issues like online fatigue, mental health, and also digital divide that's still taking place in a period of time where almost everyone has to embrace this technology? Maybe if I could get Prof. Benton first to give an opinion. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We, of course, as all universities, we started moving all our classes online last April. And of course, many students didn't have the proper, you had mentioned the digital divide, the proper tools, or for example, routers or Wi-Fi connections. So we distributed to all the students who needed them, who didn't have them in their apartment or in their dorm rooms, their own ones. So we distributed those to our students so that they could connect. And of course, the Japanese school year starts in April. And the pandemic really got worse in around March of 2020. So we only had like a month and a half to prepare for this whole move to online. And we did this. And in the summer of that year, we surveyed all students, and we measured their feelings and their thoughts about their learning, and their thoughts about their experience. Over half undergraduate and graduate students were happy with the online learning. Of course, I think that most of them would like a balance of both, but they were happy with the online learning. And some of their comments said some of the good points was that they could study at their own pace, or they could rewatch after they recorded the session, whether it was live or not. They could rewatch it, so they could review, and that made it easier for them. And they could choose their own place of studies. Those are some of the good points. And they also learned that they learned new online tools. For them, having to work with this the virtual courses, they had to learn Zoom and Teams and all these other stuff. For them, it was good for the future when they go into working as well. However, they did say that some difficult points was that their eyes got tired. They're staring at the screen, so physical about their eyes, the stress of their eyes, and also they said that it was difficult not to be able to talk to their friends. So I guess they decided to meet up in chats and stuff as well after that. But they also said one interesting thing, said it caused them to have to study more. Because of the online, they had to study more. And they studied around 10 to 13 hours more online per study per weekday. So they had a lot of work here. And so the stress, in terms of the stress, they did have stress. I mean, of course, especially the first year students who did not have any friends yet, I'm sure it was difficult for them to, as freshmen into university, not knowing anybody of their classmates kind of makes it difficult for them. But we do have a system, we do have counselors. We do have counselors, a whole set of counselors. All counseling session was done online, so that students could, if they could reach out to our counselors, and all the students, new freshly minted students, know about the counseling services that we have, and we also have counselors just for our foreign students, international students, and so they're able to reach out to their counselors who are also professors, so that they can advise on academics as well to help them help them navigate this difficult time. And in the past, we've had a buddy system where for international students, we have a Japanese buddy who helps them in everyday life, who helps that person accumulate into the everyday life of Tsukuba. So we are really working to get these students together and to be able to, for example, for one of our, we still have international students, especially if they're degree-seeking students. We do have degree-seeking students in Tsukuba. So we have over this year, we have several hundred degree-seeking students here in Tsukuba. And so they have tutors where we help them as well. As long as if you're a degree-seeking student, you can get a visa in Japan to come into Japan. So we do have some students that as well. So I guess we're mainly working using, just to sum up, we have a lot of counseling services for our students. And we did survey our students to see how they're dealing with their with the online learning experience. And we feed this back to our faculty to make them more aware of the different issues that the students are having, and for the faculty too to improve their delivery methods for their teaching courses. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Benton. Exciting thing. Definitely an important point of view there. And aside from our students, our academics as well are going through all this, through mental health issues, and also dealing with working at home, having very minimal barrier between the personal and professional. I was asking as well whether Dr. Narima as well, if you have any sharings with regards to how you deal with issues regarding mental health, online fatigue, and also the digital divide that's happening.
Okay, thank you very much. I think as mentioned by Professor Benton just now, our university, we are also facing similar problems in dealing with fatigue, mental health, and things like that. Actually, for the university, once the outbreak happened early last year, so we already have opened up a nerve center, we call it a nerve center, where we have a group of volunteers, staff and students, and also we open to international students to be a volunteer there to receive calls to help out students and also staff with problems and issues and so forth. It's still operating. We meet regularly now because the situation is not that bad as the previous one. Last year's, for example, we meet almost every week to discuss things related to our student problems and also issue related to pandemics. As before the pandemics, actually the university have already encouraged lecturers. We have an online portal where your lecturers can use it to deliver their lecture and to do all online teaching and learning. Unfortunately, at that time, the take-up rate is quite slow at that time, and then but due to the pandemic, then the take-up rate is become, because most of the courses are changed to 100% online or hybrid learning components, where the dependence on ICT is become more, and student lecturer are forced to learn and students are also forced to adapt, in the sense so that the teaching and learning continue. In terms of digital divide, for example, we have arranged for those students with special needs, lacking access in terms of internet or devices. We provide the internet to the, in fact, I remember during the first semester of the pandemics, in fact, we because the student could not receive because the internet is not good, the coverage is not good. In fact, we asked our friends residing in that area to send the notes physically, to go to to meet that student and send the notes. That we did until that extent to ensure that our students get access to lecture notes and things like that. We also give out notebook to our students. Those under poor students, we give out notebook and also handphone. I think there are cases that students receive a notebook to help them having the device for to continue teaching and learning. In terms of fatigue and burnout, we acknowledge the problems. We also have a group of counselor. By the way, we have 8 counselor registered with the university, and then we also have 10 lecturer with the expertise in counseling that help out during this providing online counseling and also face-to-face counseling when necessary. So every week we reach out our student. We have Telegram, for example. We use all the avenue to reach them in order for them to be able to come to us that have problem. So so based on that, I think we provide counseling services for students, for the staff as well. We also provide that kind of supports in order to help them during this period. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. So we've talked about the global pandemic, a change in the operational system of how we're teaching. We're using online. We're talking about mobility restriction. We're unable to travel. People are still talking about the ranking game with all these new challenges here. I'd just like to ask your opinion. Japan has its top global university project. Malaysia has the Education Malaysia brand that has been very, very popular. Both strong initiatives by respective governments. You know, in your opinion, what is the key criteria of becoming a world-class university, and how important is the ranking game in such a challenging time right now? Prof. Kono, if you'd like to start the discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Officially speaking, Kyoto University is not so much interested in world-class ranking, world university ranking. Though we always get the report from our institutional research office that when the new ranking is published. And but very frankly, but it is true that international students, when they select the destination, they always look at ranking. It's true. And so in that sense, our basic idea is that if within top 100 in the world, it's okay. It can be 30, it can be 50, it can be 80, but try to be in top 10, top 100. That is our policy. But what is the key criteria of becoming world-class university? We can say it's research or education, but I believe that the most important criteria for the university is that for researchers or students, that is a place where they want to come to stay, they want to come to study, they want to come to work. How much extent the university is attractive for the people, for the professor, for researchers, students. That is a key element of world-class universities. I think so.
Okay.
It's of course closely related with research and education, but how much extent can we attract the people?
Yes.
That is what I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Maybe Prof. Narima, if you could share your input on this, the ranking game and the world-class university criteria.
Thank you for the question. Actually, when USM, our university first embarked on and being given the status as Apex University, ranking is not in the picture actually. The university is looking for sustainability agenda where we try to increase our reputation and where we claim to be USM being a sustainability-led university, which emphasize on prominence in terms of sustainable development. But as Prof. Kono has said, we are being ranked anyway. So we always got the report anyway. So I think we submitted the report and we participate in the sense. Well, being sustainability-led university, our vision is transforming higher education for a sustainable tomorrow. We started back in 2008. 2007 2008 like that. So with this initiative, I think it's proven a success because now if we look at I go back to ranking, sorry about that. THE Global Impact Ranking, for example, our university is ranked 39th in the world and the first in Malaysia. So that our initiative back there and now all the activities are related to sustainability. So basically, gaining a global prominence help in terms of attraction, in terms of research and also student. We may be able to attract best talent to come to work with us. The brand that we probably could not promote all the activities in the university, but of course we have a few research strengths that might make us stand as one of the best university. For example, our archaeology program under Center for Global Archaeological Studies, for example, we have reached a global arena where recently, just to share, one of our researcher managed to co-author an article published in Nature, which we're proud of. I think to become a global university, to become a world-class university, research is our strength, and also with that we will be able to produce a good academic programs. Another program that was mentioning is our pharmacy and pharmacology, for example. This is one of the best in the nation, so it ranked top 100 in the world. So basically we have few programs that have reached a very high standard, and we know this standard, this program have attracted students both nationally and internationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Narima. I think you've also led us to a very interesting topic now with regards to sustainability. There's been all talks on a lot of platforms these days on sustainable development goals. initiated by UNESCO. And what we're discussing will also be addressing some of the questions in the Q&A, for example, with regards to digital learning divide. And we're talking about quality education, and we're talking about equality for all as being part of the goals as well. How is UKM with regards to sustainable development goals, Prof. Mohammad?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ratih. I think UKM, as I mentioned earlier, has proud ourselves as the national universities. And of course, Malaysian government has regard SDG as one of the priority in our policies. And with that respect, UKM is committed toward promoting the SDG, and we look at SDG as a holistic approach in which we try to incorporate some of the key issues that being addressed by the SDG into our teaching and learning process. We try to see how it fits into our curriculum development, for example. And we also take some of the issues pertinent to SDG in our community services. We teach our students how to be reactive to some of the issues that's addressed by those SDGs. And in research and engagement, we also pay attention to some of the issues, for example, that relate to the environment, that relate to the public health, and try to encourage our academics to pay attention and also do as much as they can in order for us to contribute to some of the issues, and hopefully we can be able to come up with solutions to solve the problems. And I think almost all of those 17 goals that relevant to us has been looked at, has been discussed at various levels at the universities, and plans has been put forward for the researcher how we can embark on these issues, and hopefully that we can also contribute to find solutions to some of the issues that provided by the SDGs. For example, at various levels, be it at the undergraduate levels, postgraduate levels, and also we try to get our staff at various levels also to be aware, at least if not involved in providing solutions to SDG issues.
Thank you, Prof. Mohammad. I think SDG is a very important component, and incorporating it in a more wholesome way throughout each aspect of the university is a very important situation. We're down to our last 3 minutes, and maybe we could just wrap up. And two hours went just like that. I apologize for some of the questions unable to be addressed, but let's stop for one final question, a speed round to each and every one of our panelists. How do you foresee the university of the future? If Prof. Benton, you could start wrapping up to our whole discussion today as well, actually, with regards. So what do you think with all these challenges, with all these changes, what is the university of the future?
Well, it kind of links in with the sustainability theme, but I believe though in this vocal world where things are changing and issues come up all the time, new issues, we have to work across borders. No one university has the resources to provide their students or their research with everything they need. So global partnership, reaching across borders, reaching across sectors. For example, also no one field. A medical doctor has to work with the city, the surrounding community itself too, as well. So you have to work across borders. So in the future, cross-border relationships are going to become much more important than ever. And new things, new issues, new problems like the pandemic will become more frequent, unfortunately. Okay. And this needs global collaboration, and also needs a very wide viewpoint of how these issues can be solved. And our responsibility as universities, I think, mainly 3 points: provide education, provide research, and to give an end to to contribute to society. So in able to do those, we do need more cross-border collaboration. I think with all of us now becoming more comfortable with digital exchange, I think we can use this. Of course, there's nothing like face-to-face exchange, but digital exchange can be useful in the times when you cannot go, or for real quick meetings and stuff. So I think in some ways, if we're able to really incorporate digital technology into our everyday lives, as well as face-to-face, competitively, we'll be able to we'll be able to offer what society needs in a much more comprehensive way.
Thank you.
That answers.
Thanks, Professor. I guess technology is going to be there. The borders are still, cross-border relationships still going to be very important. Prof. Narima, a quick one from you, the University of the Future.
Thank you very much. I think university will continue to be important institution for the society. We, as mentioned by Prof. Benton, cross-border relationship, we know the competition for job market is very stiff now. So for this, it's critical for the university to produce work-ready graduates. In USM, for example, we have what we call HEBAT agenda, the acronym for Holistic, Entrepreneurial, Balanced, and Articulate and thinking graduates, which we hope to have this quality to graduates with a global mindset and ready to take up challenge for future relevance. Therefore, the university must have the role to nurture intellectual development among graduates. Another thing is that, just to share, recently USM has launched programs by micro-credentials in order to offer programs for quality education to to include everybody. This is particularly targeting people who already left the university, for example, or who do not have the chance. So micro-credential is one way of future where people can take big size courses in order to complete their degree at their own pace. Thank you very much. I think that's it.
Thanks. Thank you, Prof. Narima. Prof. Mohammad.
Thank you very much. I could not agree more to what the panel has said, but I think in UKM, we regard internationalization as a key to move forward, and it may be through physical engagements or through visual engagements. We should embrace new norms in a way to sustain quality education for all. We have increased our way of for access to the universities as well. And in UKM in particular, we try to promote student-centered, interconnected, and way forward for us. And in particular, we try to promote students with customized and on-demand education. We have established a faculty that cater for that, and then it has been quite a success, and more people are interested in this, and the way we promote the curriculum in the one of the faculty which is newly established, that provide the student-centered and also customized degree for them. And all in all, I think we must learn how to adapt the change and strategize in a different world, a different way of working in order for us to be successful in the future. And we must also pay attention to the technology around us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Mohammad. And Prof. Kono, to wrap things up on your part as well.
Yes, I believe that one of the most important role of university is that, or in other words, what other organizations cannot do is that to provide an arena where all the members, all the people, regardless to their age, sex, nationality, or social status, they can freely talk each other. They have learn each other, and they can co-create something new. That is one of the very important role of universities. Or we have to maintain this atmosphere. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Kono. I am in awe with such great conversations that we've had here today, discussions, points of view shared, the importance of where we are today in the VUCA world, where we are heading tomorrow, the importance of sustainability, the importance of research, mobility, but the essence of a student experience is still something very, very important as we're talking about internationalization, experience of higher education institutions. The importance of this relationship between Malaysia and Japan should continue and must continue on as well. I would love to wrap up further as time is really not on our side, and Mr. Hafiz has already popped up here. I wish to give my deepest thanks to Prof. Kono, Prof. Mohammad, Prof. Benton, and Prof. Narima for such an exciting insights and point of view with regards to your respective internationalization efforts. And we hope that our relationship will be able to continue on after this. And as I end this, I will say thank you again to all, and also to all the Malaysians. Salam Merdeka and Happy National Day as well for tomorrow. I'll pass it over to you, Mr. Hafiz.
Thank you very much for that awesomely and smoothly moderating the session this morning. Yeah, and yes, it is a very great pleasure to thank everyone here, especially our distinguished panelists for such an inspiring and valuable insights shared during the session. It's a very great sharing of practices from everyone. I personally learned so much from today's session, and also I guess everyone to hear that presence today with us. Okay, on behalf of the organizer, we would like to thank all the panelists, Professor Kono, Professor Caroline, Professor Dr. Narimah Samad, and Professor Muhammad Qasim for being here today and sharing all this session. Okay, our special thank you to TOSHIBA International Foundation for supporting and ensuring the success of this event. We appreciate it very much. And not forgetting, ladies and gentlemen, to all the international office of our local universities, our partner universities from Asia, from across Asia, friends and university representatives around the globe, our technical team and staff of UKM, also students from our partner universities. Thank you all from the bottom of our heart in UKM. All right, as mentioned before this, this webinar is the first of its series. We will be having more in the months to come. So please join us. So before we end this webinar, please kindly fill in the feedback form upon leaving the webinar. So it has already been uploaded in the chat box. Once completed, you'll receive your e-certificate for attending the webinar. The link will be closed by 2 p.m. today. For those watching live streaming via Facebook, the link for the feedback form will be shared soon. Once again, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you again in our future webinars. Stay safe. My final message to all Malaysians, selamat menyambut Hari Kemerdekaan Malaysia ke-64, tomorrow 31st August 2021. Happy 64th anniversary Malaysia. Terima kasih, thank you, arigato gozaimasu, maraming salamat, muchas gracias. Till we meet again. Hafiz signing off from UK.